attack, fast fatal heart impact, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and packs. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet out. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty, hello everybody. This is Kirusho here. Now, whenever we last left off with this series, I went over the incident where Midoriya fought Amari. Now, I went over their second round, their battle. Midoriya and the man were actually going quite well against one another. Midoriya took out one of the man's eyes and ripped off one of his arms, while the man currently embedded a knife deep into Midoriya's brain. Now, with that being said, Bakugo did make Eto and Momo quite aware of what's going on, and Eto quickly rushed in, grabbing what she thought was Midoriya's body, before smacking Bakugo away from it. The CCG being on scene, as Bakugo ran over to see if one of the investigators were still alive, or her senior investigator. Now, with that being said, Eto is rushing Midoriya back to their hideout, as she shrinks down for 1 minute, really undoing her Kakuja, and immediately ripping open a manhole cover, before simply lowering Midoriya down, and going down herself, as she tells Momo over comms to get back to base as fast as she can, and to make a phone call to anyone there. Tell them that they have to make something or get a bed set up. He is incredibly wounded. Now, she then reforms Kakuja and immediately blitzes her way throughout the sewers, taking the proper turns in navigation, as she comes out of another manhole cover somewhere else around the city, and runs through the alleyway, immediately smashing open a door, and running throughout the warehouse, with Midoriya basically hung over her shoulders, fireman carry style, as she basically runs in and immediately has two people take him off of her shoulders and be very careful with him. The first thing they do is check for a heartbeat, since Eto could feel faint breathing and hear it. Checking for it, she does find it. However, Midoriya doesn't really seem to be all there. Midoriya is making slight sounds and some groans, as Momo does come in and see what is going on. Now, Yoshimura has also arrived. He carried Momo all the way here, since this is an emergency, and they do see Midoriya. Seeing that he's hurt badly, all the people around him are shocked and confused. Her just yelling that it was that bastard Amari, as she goes to reach for the knife. Now, let's say the older Yoshimura, he goes to actually stop her, immediately grabbing her hand right as she was about to touch the knife, telling her to be very careful with that. It is in his brain. Plus, let him do it. He has steadier hands. And if they do mess up, the boy might get more hurt. Besides, your hands are currently shaking. Eto actually staring at her hands for a minute. He has her by the wrist, and her hands, they're extremely shaky, and covered in blood. Her simply just looking down at them, before getting up and running away. she's going to try and find some medical supplies, something to help stop the bleeding. He may be a ghoul and that might heal. However, he might be slowed down. This is a bit of a new thing. As Yoshimura, he slowly grabs onto the piece and asks Momo if she can get him something to bite down on. And, well, instructing the other two people around them to hold Midoriya down. The boy is extremely strong, and this is going to be very painful. Now, Midoriya's right eye does actually open, and Midoriya actually does begin to try and move, his body going through spasms. As Momo puts this piece in his mouth, a piece of wood. It's from at least a broken baseball bat. They had it lying around, since this place was formerly habited by people. However, it is theirs now. As soon as they do that, Mr. Yoshimura tells Midoriya to simply stay still, to which he does not respond. He has gone back into a primal form of self-preservation. Get away and run. His mind is going through the process of something is wrong. Something is very, very wrong. However, it cannot tell what. Yoshimura is saying on the count of 3 he is going to pull. His finger, well, his thumb and his hand wrapped around the base of the knife, saying 1, 2, before just simply yanking it out as hard as he can, straight up. And it comes out clean. He doesn't cause any more damage than he could have done. And Midoriya screamed out in pain as he bit this piece of wood into multiple pieces, and let out a large scream. Now, after that, his body just begins to keep spasming and trying to fight against everyone. Yoshimura trying to hold him down himself, as Eto runs in and begins to try and hold him down, and cover his face with the bandages, wrapping this around his eyes. Now, Yoshimura instructs him to find him a piece of meat, find him something to eat. His body needs the nutrition. If he gets a piece of food, he might calm down. Since feral animals, or, well, eating is a form of feeling safe. It is something you do whenever you feel safe. You will drop your guard. Now, Eto actually does tell one of the other people here to go find something. She can handle it here. Now, they run off and begin a search. They look through the area around here, heading into the basement and then heading upstairs. They're not finding anything until Eto simply just does one thing. She simply just sort of looks a bit different. And, well, she does something that she knows is going to be very, very bad. As she basically just rips up the sleeve on her shirt, on the left side of her arm, and simply forces it into Midoriya's mouth, as Midoriya begins to bite down on it. Her simply just holding it there, as Midoriya begins to bite through her arm as hard as he can, beginning to eat her flesh. Now, yeah, the older Yoshimura is seeing this, and he does know what that means. And he should be angry right now. However, those two have not come back yet. Now, as soon as they do come back, they do see Eto pull her arm away from Midoriya's mouth, and simply just hold on to it, and put pressure down. As Momo simply just asks if that's going to be enough. Now, the older Yoshimura simply just says that it should be perfectly fine. The boy seems to be alright and okay. Now, this is whenever Midoriya, his body simply just stopped moving, and he seemed to be asleep. Eto still kind of shocked at what she did, or what she had to do. Midoriya had to eat a part of her arm, and it is going to scar over. So, that scar is not going to fade. Yikes. Now, with that being said, Momo also is a bit more mad. She knows about this, and she is a little bit jealous. Now, a couple days have passed, and Midoriya has not woken up. Meanwhile, Eto and Momo, they have not moved from his side, simply staying with him. And Yoshimura and the other ghouls around simply get food, refilling their supply. They've had to start going a bit more outside the box. They haven't had to resort to cannibalism. However, hunting down criminals is beginning to get a lot harder, with the CCG breathing down their necks constantly. So, they were able to get at least a few days worth of food. Him giving these two a plate, and asking exactly how is this going to be working, and if he has made any progress, any signs of recovery. Now, both of them just say no, saying that he occasionally just says something, to which he does say that that is a good sign. Walking over and actually picking up the knife. They still left it here, and it is soaked in blood. As he grabs it, and actually does look at it. Holding the piece of it, or the piece he grabbed onto, it is a couple inches long. And the way it was in Midoriya's head, he's surprised that wasn't poking through the other side of his skull. That was completely all the way through his brain. So, the young boy is amazed to be even alive. Now, with that being said, these two do not leave Midoriya's side, staying with him for the next few weeks. Until, at this point, an entire month has passed. And they eventually had to rest. So, they climbed into bed with him, wanting to be there whenever he first wakes up, not wanting to leave his side. However, at this point, Momo's people were worried about her, and there was no one to lead the white suits or Origiri tree. Yoshimura did try and order them around, however that only worked up to a certain point. Many people said that he is not the one-eyed owl, nor is he their leader. Now, the white suits do try and follow Yoshimura, being a bit of the odd ones out. They're loyal to the boss, and from what they've heard, this guy was basically a father figure for the boss. So he's their big brother. Now, this is whenever Momo and Eto, they both have to leave. They know that Midoriya possibly will wake up. If they can't be there, they can at least try and make sure that he has something to wake up to. A world to come back to. Now, with that being said, let us cut over to the CCG. And you do have Bakugo. Being examined by the doctors, they tell her that she broke one rib and bruised quite a few. However, that is quite lucky for only encountering the owl. Simply ask exactly what happened. Her giving the statement that she saw the two fighting. She saw the investigator with the owl in question bitten in the eye and bleeding a lot. Then the Ghoul ripped off his left arm before the investigator jabbed a knife in its eye, deep. That was whenever this other Ghoul simply arrived and took this, well, the one-eyed Ghoul away. The one that we believe to be the king. Ah, yes. Izuku Midoriya. Now, Investigator Bakugo, I'm quite aware of your track record. This school, it appeared at the USJ roughly about 2 years ago, is that correct? Yes. And it also did appear to kill a villain and rescue you, correct? Yes, Doctor. And, if I am not mistaken, you were friends with Momo Yaoyorozu, a ghoul we believe to be associated with these, well, organizations, along with this ghoul in question, Izuku, or, well, the monster. Yes, Doctor. Well, now, we are aware of the deal that you have made, so we are going to be telling you about a specialized program. It is still in development. However, we want you to look at the progress of it. And hopefully one day understand its importance. This program might be something useful in the future. Our scientists are still explaining it themselves and learning more, since it's a bit of an anomaly. Excuse me? Yes, well, we've frozen and studied the remains of Midoriya. And from studying her, we found many weird loopholes in her own biology. We believe that these loopholes may be more present in her son, the king, as we call him. Or, well, the one-eyed ghoul. Now, along with that, we do have the villain Muscular's body. That man was a human turned ghoul. What? Yes. We kept this secret from the public. In fact, we simply just said that this was a form of a Kakuja, a very heavily advanced one. Now, this is where things get dicey, and I do hope you begin to listen to me. Follow along. Whenever this program does actually get off of its feet and get into further development, we will be taking you to a specialized doctor. And if you sign off on the request, you will be given a set of ghoul organs. What? Yes, you heard us correctly. Ghoul organs. Now, we are still testing it right now on regular humans. The side effects of quirks, however, are beginning to be a bit more difficult. Now, I'm quite aware of your quirk, however, the explosion ability. In fact, your quirk is actually fairly good at directly combating ghouls, along with your specialized Quinkei. Now, did you actually ever deploy it on the battlefield? No, investigator, or doctor, I didn't have time. As soon as I saw the detective was injured or my senior superior was injured, I rushed into action to try and help him. Before I could, that is whenever that owl arrived. Actually, now I'm thinking about it, I probably could have taken out the king if I didn't think about it. No, you're wrong. I'm sorry, Doctor? Listen, You had compassion and humanity in your heart. Just because someone was injured, you wanted to help them. You could have taken out the king, yes. However, well, you have to think about your timing. How close were you to him? Well, roughly 12 feet away. And when did the owl arrive? 2 seconds later, whenever I realized he was there? So, before you realized he was there, that thing was already in the area and was about to touch down. There was nothing more you could have done. However, you did help to save Senior Investigator Amari's life, and that does count for something. Now, she does hear about everything, and understand this. Normal humans are being given abilities, and it does actually seem a bit odd and interesting. Now, one thought does go through her mind, a weird one that kind of triggers something in her head. Midoriya is a ghoul. He's half human and half ghoul. She wants to kind of do the same. She can be closer to understanding him a bit. And if it all goes according to plan, then maybe she can actually join him. Join him and try fighting with him. However, yeah. If she is seen as just jumping on the experiment as soon as he sees it, that is going to be a bit of a red flag. Now, she does actually go back to training and continuing on some of her duties. Now, with that, I do believe that will be a good point to leave this off of. And I do hope you guys enjoyed and have an amazing night.